Hiya Gav, how's it going?
How's things, Rob? How are you?
Not too bad. You're in for a Sunday morning chat here, yeah?
Oh yeah, always up for a chat. Always up for a chat.
Good stuff. I believe you've come into possession of a very nice vinyl.
Yes, yes, yes. I recently got into the vinyl trend, I should say, and I recently picked up this masterpiece. I don't know if you can see it. Can you?
Yeah,
There, is that all right? So
beautiful.
the 1974 Rory Gallagher Irish Tour original press, as we
Original
discussed.
press.
As we discovered last night. I'm not sure if it was an English press or an American press. I'm not sure because I am green to the whole thing. But we did find out that it was an original. And what a vinyl, what a record. Like, I listened to the whole thing last night and I have to hold my hands up that I am new to the Rory train. I only really, I always knew Rory Gallagher, but I never really went down the rabbit hole as such of how good this man was or this band was. Like they were phenomenal. Like
Yeah,
they influenced so many people. I'm sure we can chat about that. Like Eric Clapton, Brian May. So many people have looked up to him. And someone once told me that he's the greatest guitarist you never heard of.
yeah. That's
You
very
know?
apt.
Yeah, but yeah, there it is. It's a beautiful piece. I listened to it last night, as I said. I don't know if you can see that.
Lovely
It
gatefold. Yeah, that's one thing I love about vinyl. When you
yeah,
open them up, there's so much space for artwork and photographs and
yes,
stories.
yes.
Something you just don't get with CD.
No, and even I got a couple of newer ones there over Christmas, and like even the little posters and just the little gimmicky things. And as I said, I'm new to it. I know it's in trend at the minute, the whole vinyl thing, but um there's something just cool about just putting on a record and having to flip the record. And you know what it brought me back to too, Robin? I know you have a massive CD collection, is that I've I haven't listened to music in a speaker form apart from a van or a car in a long, long time. And it just brought me back to like my bedroom when I was a teenager and the left and the right speaker. I know you have a left and right in the car or whatever. It's not the same. It was amazing just to go through the whole process again and chill out and just sit back and listen. I really, really enjoyed that. And that album is wow, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh, for sure. You can't beat physical media, I think, if you really want to sit down and absorb an album. Because you've got, as you say, if you've got a great set of speakers, which you were sending me a photograph last night, it looks like you have a great setup there now at the minute, which is brilliant. And a good quality, if you're a good quality turntable or CD system, depending on what you're using. But
Yeah.
if you're in a room, you're listening to the music, and then you're looking at the artwork, reading the liner notes, all that stuff. It just helps in the whole process, I think.
Yeah.
It's much more engaging than streaming it on Spotify, you know?
Oh, it definitely brought me back. Yeah, it was a different experience. It's like obviously quality and stuff is going to be better on CD or probably digital, but it's just the experience, like you said.
Yeah, look, there's a big debate out there whether
I
vinyl
know.
actually sounds better than CD because, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. You can
and,
go
and
on
it- it's
Reddit and
it's it's an
paragraphs after
interesting.
paragraphs of arguments about which is better. But yeah,
Once
I
you're on
think
physical media, I think it's better than streaming. I definitely agree with that.
yeah,
I haven't dove down the vinyl rabbit hole yet, but it
so
will change
expensive
at some
too, though,
point.
isn't it?
Pardon?
It's so expensive too, though, isn't it?
That's
Like, you know,
that's kind of the thing that's holding me back at the moment. Like if I go into the record shop with €50, like I could pick up like a stack of CDs, like 10,
yeah,
20 CDs, no problem. Like, and I've no problem going through the used collections because they all sound great. But even if you go and pick up like used vinyl, you're talking 20, 30, and for a rare vinyl like you have there, like you got a steal on that one
I
because
got a steal. Like we were doing a bit of research last night, just
yeah,
texting, and I got that for like €18 in some guy in France, you know, and the postage was nearly as much as it. Like,
yeah.
but
So
but
you
yeah,
have the serial number on it. We were looking at that last night. So it's actually an original Polydor USA pressing from 1974.
wow,
So
wow.
it's legit, you know.
Oh, it is, yeah, and there was no cracks, no bops, no static. It was clean as a whistle last night. the the
Yeah.
double LP both sides, and it's amazing too. Rory's, his solos, and obviously this is a live album.
Yeah.
I think it's only two songs on each side. It's
Right. So it's
mental.
a double vinyl.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me just have a quick look. Uh, so yeah, side one is Cradle Rock. I Wonder Who. Tattooed Ladies. So there's three on that side. Then side two is Too Much Alcohol, As the Crow Flies, A Million Miles Away. And then side three, Walk on Hot Coals, Who's That Coming? And then side four is Stomping Ground and Just a Little Bit. So
Brilliant.
two two of them have like just two tracks on each side. Um, but for me, some of the this album is the one that got me really into Rory, and like there's some interesting facts about. I'm sure we can chat about like it was in three locations, as you know, Rob. It was in Belfast, it was in Dublin, and it was in Cork.
Yeah.
And the day of the Belfast, he was one of the only artists that really, really went to Belfast in the '70s, obviously because there was a lot going on.
Well, the
Uh,
Troubles, yeah. At
yeah.
their peak then, really.
Do you know that there was 10 bombs went off the day of that gig in Belfast?
I read that somewhere, yeah. I didn't know how true it was because I only read it at one place. But obviously, if you read it somewhere else, it must be true.
Yeah, yeah, and they were determined, no, no, no. And what I loved about the power of music and how music influences people, even such a troubling and dark time in Belfast, it was an unwritten rule. There was no left or no right or no whatever you were. It was you're there for the music, and
Yeah.
whatever trouble you have, leave it outside. We're just here to have a rocking night. And that was Rory's thing, and that was the band's thing, and I love that. And he didn't let that deter him from playing that night in the Ulster Hall. And maybe we can chat then about the Ulster Hall. Like maybe it's obviously one of the reasons. I know he lived there
Yeah.
for a while too, like the unveiling, if you want to chat about it, the statue.
Yeah, well that's it. Like the Rory Gallagher statue was unveiled there yesterday outside Ulster Hall. Which is I just like what you said there about uniting people and no matter what your background was. His nephew, so Rory's nephew was there yesterday at the unveiling and he had a quote and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. So I wrote it down, I'll just read it out. So he said, it doesn't matter where you come from, whatever your background, music unites, art unites, culture unites. And Rory was really a wonderful ambassador for that. And I thought that was so powerful.
Yeah, he really was. And the more I kind of, you know, he, it's fascinating to the whole blues, how like Belfast was the hub of blues for like
Definitely.
Ireland, England. And there's an amazing story that I heard about like back then, we'll say Dublin was the traditional music. You had maybe the Dubliners and some of them older kind of folky stuff where
Stephens
Belfast was,
and
yeah,
yeah,
blues.
and
But I heard a funny story about how the blues got so active in Belfast was that the American Navy
mm,
used used to dock in Derry, and the boys, the guys from America, obviously had vinyl, and there was some radio station in Germany that they were wired to as well, and some of the locals could listen into and it was all deep blues, Muddy Waters, all them guys,
mm,
and they came into Derry then obviously and were selling and whatever, and like Van Morrison then, like he was meant to
brilliant.
have an absolutely his parents, I believe, had one of the biggest blues collections in Northern Ireland at the time.
Yeah. Well, Van Morrison's first band, them, like they were a blues kind of soul R&B influenced band. Sounded
Yeah.
very American.
Yes.
And like,
So
yeah,
did
like
Rory, though, in fairness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think in the north, because they were part of the UK, right? They
Hmm.
were getting a lot more vinyl. They were getting a lot more musical instruments. There was just this underground scene of musicians and great musicians. And like Rory, yeah, he was born in Ballyshannon, as we know. He grew up in Cork, but
Yes.
then when he started playing in bands, he couldn't
Yeah, he
really
moved.
find the musicians he wanted in Cork. So he ended up the second incarnation of the Taste. The two musicians he teamed up with was John Wilson on drums and Charlie McCracken on bass. They were both Belfast-based musicians. I think Charlie was originally from Omagh, but living in Belfast.
Okay.
So he was kind of set up there that was kind of like a second home. And then
Yes,
we decided to drop the lads, yeah, or drop the taste. He had issues with the management company and stuff. Went on to
yeah.
do his Rory Gallagher solo project. Like, it was guys from Belfast that he teamed up with, like Wilgar Campbell. I think he was the first drummer. Yeah,
Well,
you
good.
obviously had Jerry McAvoy, you had John Wilson, and players like
Rodney.
another guy, Lou Martin as well, sorry, on the keys. He was
Lou,
all
Lou,
from Belfast.
yeah, he joined on this album, I believe. They
Yeah,
started out as three piece, and I think it was Wilgar was the first drummer, and then
yeah,
Rod Diath was a Welsh guy,
that's right.
and he joined, and then they brought the keys in, and as you said, Lou Martin took a whole nother feel to this album. His key playing is unbelievable. The speed
Yeah,
of
yeah.
his playing is fascinating. You were telling me you have it on DVD.
Yeah, that's right. I was actually watching it this morning, just prepping for this chat. But there it is. I picked this up a couple of years ago, probably I think it was during COVID. And it's actually was released in 2000, in the year 2000,
Right.
and it's obviously a DVD, right, of the whole film, but it looks so vintage. Like it looks like it's been taken from tapes from back in the day. And the editing and cutting in, it's so of the time, like, it's so
Yes.
authentic. Sound is obviously amazing, but yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. He talks about Cork and his
I was
roots and
going to ask you
everything.
about that. Does it show the clip where he's walking up on the stage and it's just like so typical and he hops out of a car and he's walking up with the
Yeah,
denim jacket? All right, you're going on stage and all right, and away he goes. I don't know if he had that was another debate about the statue, the Telecaster or the Strat. I think it was the Strat in Cork that night, I believe. Can't just remember what
yeah,
he walked out on. But another
yeah.
fascinating thing, Rory, no set list.
Yeah. It's very much an improvised band, weren't they? Live.
Yeah, yeah. Like I read on some other stuff like that. Some of the members like they just had to know everything and be ready.
Yeah,
Like, like he just go bang and he'd be like, oh, we haven't played that in 6 years.
yeah,
But also how the band progressed, they did chop and change. Like Lou Martin was in and then he was out and then he came back in, and the drummers. There was trouble with drummers, but the bass player Jerry McAvoy, he was there for I think all of it. I think he went right up to 1990 or 91. And there was something fascinating about it when it was a three piece. And as a musician, I'm not a musician, how hard it is to get a feel and to everybody be in the pocket as a three piece, like the drumming and the bass. But I have to give credit to Jerry. He held that thing together too. Like it was an amazing band. And Rory is the man. He is the power. He is the life and the soul of the band. But I believe the bass and the drumming too. Like I don't think it would have worked unless they were all there, especially Jerry. I think.
100%. Like there's something about three-piece bands from that era. So there was famously Cream with Eric Clapton and Jack Bruce. Again,
Yeah.
another unbelievable three-piece band. And you had the Jimi Hendrix Experience with Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding backing up Jimi Hendrix. So like this whole era had all these three-piece bands coming to the fore, and like honestly, Taste were up there, and Rory Gallagher's early incarnations, they were up there with the best of them. They were, there's no doubt about it. Like when
Yeah.
you're playing live as a three-piece, three instruments, there's a lot of push and pull. So, like, obviously, if Rory's taking a solo or something, the
Yeah, you got
lads
to
are
follow.
sitting back. There's not as much drum fills, there's not as much bass fills. You're just
You have
providing
to
like this
follow, isn't
solid
it?
foundation for the guitar. And then there's other parts then where if Rory's playing like a rhythm section, as you say, they have to be in the groove, in the pocket. And these guys, like I was looking at the Irish tour, I think there was 3 dates in Cork, 3 dates in Dublin. Sorry, 2 dates in Cork, 3 dates in Dublin, 3 dates in Belfast, right? So that was um 8 dates. And I think they played that over 9 days. So they got one day off in 9 days. So they
Yeah,
worked really hard. They played live a lot and they just knew each other so well, which is
yeah.
great.
It's amazing. And again, as I said at the start of this, I embarrassed to say that I never really got in on it. Like when I started doing a bit more research, like the bands that they played with, they had Rush opening for them.
Yeah.
They had they played festivals with Fleetwood Mac, Black Sabbath, like everybody and anyone. And another, as actually was it Dave Moore was telling me? somebody was telling me that there was people had said that taste probably would have been on par, if not better, than Cream if things had went different with management, like you said. Like that's
Yeah. Well,
the
Rory constantly did not want to be in a position where he was a popular band. As mad as
oh,
that sounds, but
yeah,
like
yeah,
I read some stuff this morning on it. Like he had an opportunity to work with the producer, who was a bass player with Deep Purple, Roger Glover, an
yes,
absolute legend in classic rock and a brilliant producer. And he decided not to, too commercial, or he was afraid the direction it would take. And then there was other labels tried to sign him and
yeah.
get him to do singles. And he always said, like, I could write a single in the morning, but I don't want to.
Was
Where
it
for me,
the
it's all
Rolling
the
Stones
music.
as well? Was it?
Pardon?
Did he do an audition for the Rolling Stones as well?
Yeah, when Mick Taylor left,
Yeah, he went to
before
Germany.
Ron Wood came in, the
Mm.
Stones asked him to audition. But like, I don't see how Rory Gallagher would fit into the Rolling
Oh,
Stones.
he's too much.
Personality and musically, I don't see how that would work.
But isn't it amazing too? Like you just said, like he did not want to be famous. He just wanted to play music. And like from what I researched as well, he hated the studio. He
Yeah,
hated
yeah.
he hated recording. That's why he tried to record all these albums live and put that feel on it and put that not afraid to put a mistake in or a bum note or a misbeat. That was the music. Like it's not meant to be glistening gold. It's meant to you're meant to get that whole
Warts and
feel,
all.
warts and all. And as the albums progressed too, it did change. Like it kind of started with the blues and it slowly made its way into like rock, I felt. Like the later albums were more rocky, poppy rock. If you listen to
Yeah.
the newer stuff, it did change. And it's well known for that as well. But yeah. Any favorite tracks off this album, Rob? The
Yeah, I,
74.
I, I do. A Million Miles Away blows me
Yeah.
away every time I
Yeah.
hear it. So much so that I can't listen to the album version. I have to listen to the live version.
Yeah.
It gets me every time. The lyrics are unbelievable. You know,
Like
the
sorry,
bartender is as high as a steeple. It's just like wow.
that's just one thing I want to say is like how good of a guitarist he was. He was absolutely an unbelievable lyricist as well.
Yeah, yeah, unbelievable.
It
Yeah,
was
that
it was quote too that Bob Dylan was a massive fan of his songwriting.
really, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at
Yeah,
all.
and
Yeah,
they met up in America, and they kind of swapped notes on some stuff, I believe.
brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. Like Bob Dylan, for him, it's all about the lyrics.
Yes. Yeah.
All
Sorry
about
to
the
cut
meaning.
across. Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Absolutely, yeah. Like the Cradle Rock is obviously the big rock song on the album, and you've got Tattooed Lady, which they were
Yeah.
promoting that album at the time, so they're all brilliant. I love the slide guitar on Who's That Coming? So this is
Yeah.
the one where you were saying the Telecaster. So
Yeah.
he's got the Telecaster tuned to like I think it's open G, and then he's
Mm.
got that slide happening. But like honestly, I'd have him up there with Dwayne Allman or Joe Walsh in terms of a slide guitar player. Like he's just top drawer and self-taught slide guitar player apparently.
Right. Right.
Didn't get lessons for it, just figured it out himself from his ear.
But his
Uh,
sound as well, the sound that he got was like everyone. Brian May tried to imitate it. I think he actually asked him, like, how are you getting this? Like the compression or something? It's over my
well, they were
head. That
using so Rory was using a Vox AC30.
yes,
But they on their own they can sound a bit there's a lot of mid-range in them and they can sound a bit like I don't know what the word maybe honky is the word a bit country and Rory was getting this really heavy blues rock sound. So after a gig, Brian May, as a young teenager there with a couple of his mates, went up to Rory Gallagher after the gig um, and said, "Look, I'm a guitar player. Like, your sound is amazing. Would you mind telling me how you get your sound?" Apparently, Rory took ages, sat down with them, showed them that he used a treble booster. So we have the guitar into a treble booster and then the treble booster into the amp. And that was how he was able to get this amazing blues guitar tone. And Brian May, like if you ever look at any of Queen's live videos, he's using Vox AC30s.
wow,
So Brian May took his sound. Now, obviously, Brian May's sound is different to Rory Gallagher's sound, but Brian May would never have got there
Yeah.
if you hadn't had Rory Gallagher, you know. So
I
it's
heard he
amazing.
had a lot of time for fans, and I've heard some stories about there was a guitar shop in Belfast too, where Rory used to go to a lot, and like fans would just be like looking over and like, is that Rory Gallagher? Like, and he'd shoot the shit with them for a while, and was definitely grounded. And as I said earlier, he was touring him. He toured the world playing with the biggest and best, and he was some of the biggest and best, but he had that mentality. He stayed grounded, and that's awesome to hear because we all know artists that have stories and things go to their head and whatever, but it sounds like Rory was very grounded and
Yeah,
man of the people or whatever you want to say, you know?
definitely. And it's funny because I was watching the video this morning, and the way he used to wear the flannel shirts
Yeah.
reminded me of the grunge movement. So the way he
Yeah.
went, like particularly Kurt Cobain,
Cliff Burton.
didn't want, yeah, like didn't want the fame. Artistic genius, was
Yeah.
just only concerned about the music and
Yeah.
authentic. And I think there's a lot of similarities between what he was doing and the grunge movement in Seattle in the late 1980s, early 1990s. I don't know if
Yeah.
the grunge guys were aware of Rory,
I'm
but
sure they were.
like there's definitely similarities there. Not in the style and sound of the music, but in the
No,
whole the image,
image. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
or lack of
Yeah.
image.
A lack of giving a toss,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, just getting on with it. Um, one track I wanted to mention was I think Walk on Hot Coals.
Oh
It's
yeah.
one of my favorites. And funny, Tattooed Lady is and what was the other one that was really well known for Rory? Tattooed Lady, and it's not on this album. The other one, God, I can't think. More the singles that went really, really well for him. I think there's so many better tracks. Like as you said, Cradle Rock. I Wonder Who. Too much The Crow Flies. But back to A Million Miles Away, where we talk about honesty, and he really opened the door into what he was feeling and how, like at that stage in 74, they were starting to make some serious moves. Like, and
Yeah.
as you said, the sitting in the bar and he can paint this picture in your head where there's noise and there's busy and there's chatter and he's just sitting there and he's just in a different world. He's not part of this world. And I just think there's brilliant, brilliant lyricists in it and honesty and a real insight of how his mind was.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
It was,
I don't think
he
he gets
didn't
credit
try to
enough for his
disguise.
thing.
He had great sense of poetry. He was able to take that feeling and put it into words, but not to, like a lot of songwriters can maybe try to disguise it, make it sound generic or make it sound something different to throw you off the scent. He was like the type of guy. He wore his heart in his sleeve,
Yeah,
and you're definitely getting his state of mind in those songs. It's amazing. And another funny thing about Rory Gallagher.
yeah,
Like, there is no such thing as the Rory Gallagher song. Okay, if you say what is the Led Zeppelin song, Stairway to Heaven? Well, what is the Eric Clapton song, Layla? What is the Rory Gallagher song? Everybody has probably a top 10, and I guarantee you they're all different because he's got so
100.
many brilliant songs throughout his whole career.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I can't even think of the other one that is well known. Tattooed Lady, Bad Penny. That's what I was
Oh,
trying to think
Bad
of.
Penny, yeah. I think was that later on, maybe.
Yeah, that was later on, but it was probably I think Tattooed Lady and Bad Penny were probably one of or both of his biggest kind of singles, or
Yeah,
that maybe would be his well known. But I agree 100%. I've chatted to people over the last few months, and everybody, like you just said, has a different top five or top 10. You couldn't pick them. It depends on your mood. It depends, on whatever. But I
yeah,
just, and it's also amazing that this album is 50,
yeah. That's right. 50 last year. Yeah,
50 years old. 50.
yeah.
It still holds ground. It's still. Last night I was going to grab something to listen to, and I had some stuff from the 90s, some newer stuff, and you're pulling out something from 74, like, and it still pulls you in. It still gives you that feel. It's still brilliant.
Yeah, and like the unfortunate thing about music at the moment is there's not a lot of inspiration out there.
Oh,
You know?
you really have to go digging. And I don't want to sound like that old fart to say, oh, back in my day, but I have a mental taste in music. Okay. I would listen to Rory Gallagher. I would listen to techno. I used to go to like raves when I was younger.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
listen, I'd listen to hip hop. I'd listen to uh pop. I'd listen to I'd listen to anything. I'd listen to metal. I'd listen to anything. But even in today's music that's coming out, even with my mad taste in music, I still can't go to something. I do like one of our own, The Scratch. They have some
yeah,
brilliant stuff coming out, and there is some brilliant Irish music coming out. But as in a worldwide scope of artists, I'd struggle.
yeah. It's
Jerry
look,
Cantill's new album tops it by a mile for me into 2024. There was nothing that touched it in my eyes. I didn't really get into a whole lot in 2024, but
yeah.
nothing, nothing really.
I thought it stood out, and I actually read a top 20 from Rolling Stone or Ultimate Classic Rock, and it wasn't even listed. And I was thinking to myself, these guys are so far off the mark. It's not even funny, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
That they have
I had
albums in
mentioned
there.
that to you, and you didn't feel them was Sleep Token.
Yeah, I listened to I listened to the Spotify songs you sent on, and I felt the drums were heavily processed. Now you did say they're a different animal live.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
got a chance to get round to listening to their live stuff you sent me, but I definitely will. I'll give them
If
a chance.
somebody, if you're looking for something new and completely different,
Hmm.
and it has a ball of different genres in it, it has metal, it has rock, it has pop, it has jazz. Supposedly, some people see like jazz kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But talk about a band that has feel and has emotion.
yeah,
Check them out. Some of the live stuff. They're headlining download this year.
that's unbelievable.
But
Great to see. Great to see new bands. I know Bring Me the Horizon headline download last year, and I remember my mate Eric said to me, what the headliners were, and I was kind of really
yeah,
like,
yeah.
are they that level? And thinking, yeah,
Even
they probably
Glastonbury
are. They're
this year.
around 15 years. You know, this is their time, and like time moves on. When you talk about live music, like a lot of the older bands are retired or semi-retired or getting to that age, you know, like so it's healthy to see a new breed of bands coming in. I might necessarily agree and listen to all of them, but
Yeah.
it's good to have the finger on the pulse, isn't it, to hear what's coming up
But
there.
like that's what I was just saying, like Glastonbury, like I just seen that Neil Young like is headlining, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say much for new acts coming through where you have to constantly keep coming back to these older artists that have to sell tickets, you know what I mean? Like
That's
as you
unfortunately
know,
it's all about selling tickets now, and that's the
all selling to, and then there was a whole thing about BBC and Neil Young and that the whole soul of Glastonbury's gone and it's just all commercial now. And I'm sure it is. There's massive scale. It's huge. I
yeah.
would love to go to it someday.
Oh yeah, yeah, it will be great to go someday. But there was a few years ago who played. It was an unbelievable lineup for rock. It was Guns N' Roses, Foo
Two
Fighters, Arctic
fighters, no?
Monkeys, Queens of the Stone Age, was it?
I don't know.
It was just I think Dave Grohl ended up playing on about three or four different sets throughout the whole weekend.
No,
He
I
played Guns
did
N'
it right.
Roses and he was with the Pretenders on drums and did he come out with Rick Astley or something? It was crazy.
I did see the Queens of Stone Age, and I'm kicking myself I didn't go to the gig last year. Were you with that one, Rob?
Yeah, yeah, I went to that. It was unbelievable.
I
Unbelievable.
did. I have seen them. I seen them in Slane, and I seen them in Oxygen back in the day. But I would love to catch them again. Unbelievable. I remember. I think it was in Oxygen. I'm just rambling here. Sorry, Rob. Uh, Queens of Stone Age and the Strokes. I think we chatted about this before, did we?
Oh, six.
I think so.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was at that. Yeah.
lashing rain.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Uh,
bad year, right? Yeah.
Strokes were brilliant.
The
I
Who
see.
and James Brown were on that year as well, yeah.
That's yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, yeah,
remember
that was
seeing
all
James
things.
Brown and the Who, and I'm delighted that I went to the Who because sorry,
Oh
my
yeah.
dog is mentally here under me. Uh, I didn't appreciate it. I was younger and I didn't really appreciate the Who at the time, and I did. I was right at the front actually. I remember, and I was like, "This is mental." I'm
Yeah. I
so
was at the
glad.
front myself for the Who. I was probably only a couple of people over.
Yeah, they were, but like. again, don't want to sound like an old fart, but you don't get that anymore. You don't get them bands. It's just completely changed, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. Look, it has changed, and that's why the old music still stands up, and always will.
Well, I would have done anything to get back in time and to go to one of them shows with Rory,
Yeah.
that that live album. And on our little podcast, whatever, I try to like for anyone that's like a new listener to music, please go and check Rory Gallagher out because he is a gem that needs to shine bright around the world because he is one of the best.
Yeah. Well, I
And
think that Donal, his brother, is doing a great job of keeping the legacy alive.
yes,
Oh,
and and
it was
and
great.
Jerry McAvoy has a band called Band of Friends, and
Oh yeah.
they play throughout Europe. I think they're in France at the minute, and they cover all of Rory's stuff.
Brilliant.
And I believe another thing that I have to check out. I don't know if you went to was the Rory Gallagher Festival up in Ballyshannon.
I've never been. I always wanted to go, but never
I've
got there.
drove. I do a lot of work in Donegal, and I've driven through it a few times as it's set up, and I'm like, oh, will I just pull over and turn my phone off?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I believe that the Band of Friends band actually use some of Rory's amps.
Wow. Brilliant.
Yeah, he's a Marshall stack, and I believe that they get to use it. Some private owner owns it, but he gives it to them to use on the festival, and I think they play most years.
Yeah.
Um, and with Pat McManus and um, Crow Black Chicken. You ever hear them boys?
Oh yeah, I've heard of them boys. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great band.
they have a similar feel to Rory too.
Well, yeah, three-piece blues band.
Yeah, and a bit of Slade as well. And Christy from Cork as well, the singer. He's amazing. Like
Yeah.
if you see him singing and then you hear him talking, you're like, what? You're a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
person. You know, he sounds like a deep south, southern Tennessee way, and he's from Cork City or somewhere,
Yeah,
Brilliant
exactly.
band. Check them guys out too. They're absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I was meant to go see them a few years ago and it didn't happen, but I must get to one of their gigs.
They played in Monaghan in the Blues Festival this year, and it just didn't work out for me too.
Yeah,
The bass player is amazing too. Can't think of his name. He's very good, a nice lad as well. He runs a podcast as well.
brilliant.
Nice lad,
And of
nice
course,
lad.
so next summer there's a big Rory Gallagher event with Joe Bonamassa coming over to play a couple of shows in Cork
Yes,
to
yes.
celebrate. Was it to celebrate the 74 Irish Tour?
I think it's just I'm not sure. Well, he's a year off, I suppose, but
You're off it, yeah.
I
Um,
think it's just the I don't know what it came from, to be honest.
yeah.
I think he was a big advocate too of pushing or maybe pressurizing the sale of the guitar as well.
I think he
And
was, yeah. Yeah. A lot of people thought he might buy it. But
yeah,
of course, as we know, was it Live Nation bought it
yeah,
and going to present it to the Irish Museum. So that's great. At least we'll be able to go someday and see it.
brilliant. Will you go to the show down in Cork?
I probably will. I don't have a ticket as yet, but
Hmm.
I'd say as it gets closer to the time, I probably
Yeah.
will step down. Yeah. What about yourself?
No plans of yet. I'm praying that maybe he'll come up to Dublin or maybe
Yeah.
he do. I was looking at the dates too, and it's very close to the Ballyshannon show.
Oh,
So,
really? Yeah.
so
They
I'm
might be hoping they'll get some people down
no,
from
he's
that.
too big for Ballyshannon, but he just might come closer, maybe to
Yeah.
Dublin, and then tie it all into that weekend. I don't know. I'm hoping. It's a long
Yeah.
trip to Cork from where we are.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know. Yeah, yeah. But look, we'll see. We'll see what happens. That was great, Gav. Thanks very much for joining me
Um,
there and talking all things Rory. I love a good chat about Rory. Definitely one
I
of my favorite guitarists.
yes, yes, 100%. He's class. Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, enjoy your new discovery of vinyl now, and
Yes,
be sure to keep me posted when you get any new vinyl. If you ever want to come on and chat about any new finds, I'd be more
yes.
than happy to chat with you
I,
on it.
I put an order in last night.
Oh,
Um, so I need to block my phone at night when I'm bored. I'm like, I seen some deal. I'm like,
I know.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one of them.
Go for it.
Hans Zimmer.
No way. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
One of his what's that word?
A
Compliment.
compilation album or a live album.
Yes, yeah, it's a compliment. Yeah, you have some of the Gladiator stuff on it. You have the Lion King stuff, some Superman
Class.
stuff, Inception. You know that one from Inception?
Oh yeah, that's a
Um,
great one. Yeah,
oh, every time I listen to that on the live one, I think it's in Prague. And
yeah,
man, I get chills, man. He's so good. And
brilliant.
he's coming to Dublin again. I believe it's sold out though. Again, I
Yeah,
tried so hard the last time to get a ticket for that. I'm like, I'll go on my own. I don't care.
yeah,
Could
yeah,
not get it. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm
No, he's in big demand because he won't be around forever, and
no.
he's one of these guys like you know Beethoven or Bach or you
Yeah. No,
know
he just it's not a
he's that
joke. He
level.
is. He is.
It'll
He
only be
is.
after he passes 50 years or something, and then people will be saying, "Oh my
Yeah. And
God, what a
I'm
genius he
interested
was."
to see what it sounds like on the vinyl, you know?
Yeah, I'd say it'll sound epic on the vinyl. So
Yeah.
you'll have to let me know with that. I see we're just running out of time here.
Yeah,
So
yes, yes.
thanks very much for stopping by. Really appreciate that, Gav.
No problem.
And we'll be in touch, no doubt.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, take it easy.